Hey Addicts, welcome back to another movie review, and this time we're talking about Drive to Cost Concrete. It's been a long time in the waiting. I know you guys have been waiting patiently, and we're finally here to talk about it. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So in case you didn't see my trailer reaction video, we'll go over a little bit of what this movie is about. So we follow these two partners that are cops. One is Mel Gibson, and the other one is Vince Vaughn. And at the beginning of the movie, you get to see that they are at the end of making a drug bust of these two dealers and maybe a potential bigger ring. But because of how they go about, bringing in the people, they get suspended from the force. And because both of these characters kind of have some financial issues and, some deeper stuff going on, they decide that they're going to need to get their payment elsewhere. Hence the film tag, which is those who can't earn a living must find another way to provide. And that's basically the whole gist of the movie. They go and try to find their compensation through a crook that doesn't need it. So you do get focus of other characters that are, I would say, just equally as important, but those two are the central focus of the film. Now, I will just start by saying this is a little bit different type of movie than I originally thought it was going to be. From the trailer, it kind of seemed like it was going to be more of a serious buddy cop film, which in a lot of ways it does provide that, but it is more of a, slower burn crime drama that has just a little bit of action put in there, just enough. And it's a very real story, it focuses on, very down-to-earth characters, kind of getting into more of the pros of the film. That is one thing I think they do an excellent job, is kind of telling a relatable story. I mean, obviously, or at least hopefully you're not in the same circumstances as the people in this film, but I think, their motives and their backgrounds, that is really relatable to individuals, and especially kind of in, today's world, which that's another thing I actually did like about the movie. They do a really good job of kind of pointing out the ridiculousness of society and kind of how it's oversensitive, and I don't like it when they when movies or any kind of entertainment focuses on dealing with quote unquote politics, but this is one I'm able to make an exception just because it's more playing off the absurdity of how those are. So for that, I did like how it is. Also, kind of going into, the relatability of the characters, the one thing I think they depict very good, especially with Mel Gibson's character, is just how, doing a job like he's doing, being a cop that works the streets and doing it so long, has, terrible negative effects to yourself, your psyche and stuff like that. It does take a toll, and I love how they do add little stuff like that as well. So another big part of this film that again kind of gives you that buddy cop vibe, but it's done I think really well in a way that fits perfectly for the type of movie it is, and that is the humor in it. It does have it's not like in-your-face humor, like, it's supposed to be like like a gag. Well, I'm forgetting what type of humor it is, but like you would see in like a Marvel movie or something like that. It's not like that. It's more of like a dry humor, like maybe like a satire-ish kind of delivery, but it works really well. Obviously, the main one that does that is Vince Vaughn, but because of the just the the complexity of kind of like how they deliver it and kind of the circumstances. I should say not complexity, but subtlety of it. It makes for a really good back and forth between Vaughn and Gibson, and I think they play off of each other really well in this. Another thing that is a standout, a stellar standout, if you will, in this film, is how great they're able to bring meaningful investment to their characters. Now granted, that's a little bit easier to do when a film's almost 3 hours long like this one is, but I think they divide the time up very good, considering how, I mean, they don't have a lot of characters, but they do have a handful, so they balance that pretty well. And there's even one that, maybe necessarily didn't need it, and most films wouldn't focus on it at all, but I did like that, you know, even the most, you know, minute side characters get a little bit of a piece, so you get, you know, kind of a connection for, you know, when their purpose in the film kind of caps off. I'm trying to keep spoiler free, you know, so, you know, I might touch a little bit on that a little bit later on when I highlight some things. The other great thing that, I mean, I don't know, it's not really a thing that, you know, you determines whether or not you see a movie or not, but I think it is a highlight, is the soundtrack. I actually did enjoy that very much. And there's even a, like a little, I guess you could say, Easter egg in terms of the soundtrack, where one of the characters has a brother that he's playing a video game with, and it's called Shotgun Safari, and they're just out in the, you know, the African wilderness hunting lions or something like that, and you know, they have the song Shotgun Safari in there, so, you know, you get a little bit of that. I think that's you know, a nice little Easter egg there. But getting on, you know, there really wasn't much that I disliked about the film. At times, you know, it does feel like it drags on a little bit. See what I did there? But overall, like I said, you know, it's kind of a given, given, you know, what type of genre it's in. So I think as long as you know that going in, you won't be, you know, you won't find that as a con. It's mainly just like, I found it as a little bit jarring just because I didn't know exactly what genre it was trying to be in. But overall, you know, it's like, you can take that as you will. Because some people don't like longer movies. I personally don't, you know, share that sentiment, but I know some people do. Another thing that, you know, it's not something that, you know, broke the movie for me at all, but it is something that I thought it would have been nice to see, was some more direct ending to some of the characters. And I mean, all of the characters that are directly related to, you know, the central part of the plot, you know, the main characters, they all get a satisfying ending that, you know, I think you guys will appreciate, or at least, you know, you won't be disappointed by, like, not seeing it. The thing that I'm talking about is more of like the side characters, the connections to these main characters, because the film, as you know, it's not a main focal point, but it is heavily leaning on the fact that these characters have relationships, you know, different types, whether it be their family or, you know, like love interest or something like that, that's motivating them. And for some of those characters, we don't see an ending for some of those relationships, at least, you know, after certain facts of the film. And I think that's something that, you know, we don't really need, but it would have been nice to see, especially since it was kind of a secondary focus of the film. But overall, I still really liked the ending, and I thought it was pretty satisfying. I won't go into favorite moments just because I don't want to go into spoilers and I don't want to make this video too long. But one thing I do want to say is that the performances in this movie were pretty great. One actor, I believe I've seen him in something. I tried to look up his filmography, but nothing was, you know, stirring any memory cogs. So I'm not sure exactly where I've seen him perform in, but I know he did a great job in this, and that is Tory Kittles. I really liked his portrayal of his character, and I think he did a good job of delivering those lines that he had. Vince Vaughn is another one that I think deserves a mention, because obviously, you know, he's gotten into some more serious work, but I've never seen him in too many serious roles. And so seeing him more in a, you know, serious role, but, you know, still have that comedic thing that he's known for, I just think it's a, you know, a standout that's worth mentioning. Mel Gibson's always good, so, you know, not much to say there. I will say, though, if I had to pick one that was probably blew me away the most in terms of how much they were able to use their screen time, would be this one actress named Jennifer Carpenter. She plays kind of a minor character named Kelly, and she's not in the movie for very long. We don't focus on, you know, she's not really a focus at all, but I think, you know, using the small screen time that she did have, like, wow, her performance was really great, and honestly, maybe one of the more, you know, out of all the characters, maybe the one that is on the topper list of the ones I was like, wow, I really, you know, I really feel you. So, Yeah, that's all I want to say. I'll get into my rating now. This film, like I said, it's got a lot of great points. It's not, anything revolutionary, but, for what it set out to do and everything, I think it's a really solid film. I definitely wasn't disappointed. The only other movie that I've seen from this director is Bone Tomahawk, and I did really like that as well. The film, I guess you could say, still does have some, not mysteries, but, they don't go into explaining everything. And they do have time skips, which I think is kind of it can be done good. I don't necessarily, like one of the things I was talking about, like the ending thing for some side characters, I think that's kind of lost when you do time skips, or at least it doesn't make sense. So, it kind of counteracts each other. But overall, still solid. I think it's above average film. That's why I'm going to give it a gotta have it. For those of you that are new here, that's around an 8 out of 10. And yeah, I think if you guys, if you see the film, somewhere like in your movie store or movie rental place, I would say that, you should pick it up and watch it. It's worth, I think it's worth the buy too. I rented it just because I wasn't able to buy it. If you only want to watch it once, I think you won't be disappointed with that either. So go check it out. It's worth the buy. It's worth the watch. And yeah, thank you, Dylan. Shout out to you again for recommending this film. I did enjoy it a lot. And I'm going to be checking out some of this director's other work. So with that being said, guys, this is it. So I'll see you. Peace.